We live? Alright. Thokozani. It's motivation with Gogo Dineo, Truth Tuesday. So what are we on about on this Tuesday? Where am I? Because I always do these things at different places. I'm in my favorite spot in Mozambique. Mozambique. So we are talking today about Batho syndrome. Most of us suffer from tloreng. Abantu bazothini, disease, because we are never at ease at doing things for ourselves, but we're always living lives to impress the others so we can get validation, we can get celebrated, we can conform to societal expectations of ourselves. So it's a very tough one, this one, because it's not a behavior that we just all of a sudden possess, where we live our lives to impress and please other people and not self-express and be ourselves, because we learn this behavior from childhood. A lot of us come from family backgrounds where every time when we were trying to do something that was a self-expression, we would be told, don't do that. People, what will people say? Skies are so, but if you don't wash the pots right, your mother will always say that, what will people say if you don't get this right, if I don't teach you the normal duties or how to be a proper woman? So we grow up with that belief system. We grow up with the belief system of, in order for us to be accepted and in people's lives, we need to perfect ourselves to fit in within their boxes of expectations. It's a very difficult one. You've seen that sometimes I go on this posting stream of, I am worthy, I am enough, I am love. I am lovable, because I also have grown up with that syndrome from my mother, where I always had to do to make sure that other people are happy first before I am happy. And yes, people can say no, but it's selfish for you to do your things first or to self-please you. What about other people? I always say that if you're doing you, and by doing you and being you makes you happy, brings you joy, brings you peace, then the rest does not matter. You matter first, because you can never give people from an empty cup. It's my saying all the time. And that's what happens when we people please, or when we follow the Batho syndrome, because it means that we are always giving from an empty cup. We're giving from depletion. Then we can suffer from depression. We can suffer from lack of self-confidence and self-esteem, because we will never feel like we are enough for other people. And remember, things change and evolve all the time, so meaning that people's expectations of you will change and evolve all the time. So why not do you for a change? Why not do things that you want to do, that you feel inspired to do, that are going to bring you to a sense of peace, a sense of wholeness? We stay in toxic relationships because tloreng. If you're going to leave your relationship, if you're going to leave your marriage, tloreng. I remember when we took the decision to separate, me and Kasha. It was a difficult one, but most common messaging we were getting from people when we were telling them that we separated was always like, "Bazothini abantu." After so many years, 4 kids later, and you guys are deciding to separate, you're going to make your enemies happy. But what about making ourselves happy? If the enemy is happy and we are happy, so happy is everyone, because we never do things and we never do right by ourselves, because we always wanting to conform, we always wanting to tick the right kind of boxes to ensure that in societal's eyes we are moral, in societal eyes we belong and we fit in. And also where that comes from is that in our innate nature as human beings, connecting and remaining in connection and in relationship with other people really gives us some sort of enjoyment. It helps us to thrive, because relationship, it's about connection. We relate because there's something similar that we're connecting, we connect on, therefore that's why we are in that particular relationship. But once that relatability ceases and does not exist anymore, why are you still in that particular relationship? Because because abantu bazothini. People will always say something, irrespective of what you do. People will always comment on what they believe and see of you, because remember, a lot of times people's opinions and perceptions of you are not necessarily your reality or the truth of who you are, because people are looking at you from an external People are viewing you from their own lenses, their own assumptions, their own early messages, and believe that because you are what you say you are, therefore you need to live your life to those expectations of that. So if you're a Sangoma and people say, but what will people say as a Sangoma? Ufagi miniskirt, because Sangomas are not supposed to wear miniskirt. Or what will people say, if you're a Sangoma? Somebody said to me the other day when I was wearing a dress made out of amapayat, yo, Gogo, that's not right. You're not supposed to do that. Amadlos azotin manje, while you are using their clothes in such a way. Well, amadlos wam are accepting of it, because me and amadlos wam, we want what we want for me and for them, in order for me to fulfill the purposes in which they've brought me here. Because if I'm going to live my life to always be in people's boxes, it means I'll never enjoy my own personal life. I'll never enjoy being me, because I'll be chasing a tail end that I will never actually get there. Because different people, different strokes, different folks, different narratives, and different expectations. So if you're living to please other people, it's to your own detriment, it's your own self-torture. You will never ever find peace in trying to mend other people's pieces by belonging in those circles. So we never want to leave our jobs, because again, Batho tloreng, it's such a good paying job. You're doing so good, it's such a great profession, but you could see that it's no longer fulfilling you. Yes, when you were 12, you wanted to be a doctor. When you were 12, you wanted to be a scientist, but it doesn't speak to who you are, because as human beings, we are continuously evolving. If we are not evolving, it means we are not growing. If we're not growing, it means we are stagnant. And if we're stagnant, it means we're stuck. And if we're stuck, it creates unhappiness. So as you changes and as you grow, you're gonna actually shed off some people, you're gonna shed off some situation, certain things that you used to like, that used to speak to you, that used to tick and tickle you, will not tick and tickle your fancy anymore. So you need to be able to let go and let come what is going to serve you, because Batho tloreng will never bring you closer to a sense of happiness, will never bring you closer to a sense of worthiness. Because that's why some of us follow people whom we perceive as rebellious or wild or dramatic. Abo, Zota Wabantu, the slave queens, the so and so and so. Because some of us, we see ourselves in them, and not necessarily that we are aspiring to that lifestyle, but we are aspiring to be freer. We are aspiring to be ourselves more. We are aspiring to want to self-express and be. And those people are an optimum of what we are actually aspiring to. It's either we love them or we hate them. So when we love them, is because we are agitated. The little demons in us that don't want to take responsibility and stand for ourselves and stand our ground gets agitated by people who do them and do themselves so much better that they get celebrated by the world by doing themselves. So we get agitated. Or we do that because in them there's aspects of their wildness that we can see in ourselves. But because what will people say, we never get to be those aspects of ourselves. So there's a lot of people who don't want to go twasa, because what will my church members say? What would this one say? What would my friends say? What would my colleagues say? Hey, who is not at ease? It is you who is not sleeping. It is you whose life is falling apart. It is not them. They sleep very well. They sleep peacefully at night while you are tossing and turning, while you have a pounding headache that never seems to go away, no matter how much you try and medicate it, that things are not working out, irrespective of how much hard work you put in it, that you are not getting where you need to be getting into your life, because you are in denial of yourself and what you've been called to do, because you are suffering from Batho tloreng syndrome. Abantu bazotin. Disease is when you are not at ease with self-expressing yourself, because you are living to impress other people at your own expense, at your own sense of peace, sense of happiness. So you are actually not going and doing things that you would love to do. So some of us I've always wanted to go dance, and I was thinking that maybe I should go and sign up for a dance lesson, because I grew up believing I was not a good enough dancer, I was not good looking, because there's a lot of things in our childhood that we are taught. There are early messages that we are given by the adults in our lives that starts to become our reality, and we start believing those things about ourselves, and we forget that sometimes people's perceptions of us, they are projections of themselves. They are not a reflection of truly of who we are. So Batho syndrome never gets you anywhere. It never gives you peace. It never leads to success. It actually leads to self-destruction, because some of us are addicts of other things, because we can never be at peace with the reality in which we have found ourselves stuck in, because we are keeping up to the status quo, we are keeping up with the Joneses, we are keeping to the standard, we are keeping in the radar, or we are trying to keep a circle of friends. Remember, as you grow and as you become a better version of yourself, those that don't grow with you and don't become better versions of themselves to complement you, they seem to fall apart. Things will fall apart because things are falling into place. That's my other favorite quote. So you need to be able to recognize when relationships are no longer serving you. If you are finding yourself drained in a conversation or wanting to end a conversation, I know when I'm unable to text a full message and I'm doing a lot of emojis that I'm being turned off by this relationship. It's no longer serving me. It's okay. You're not 15 years old. So a best friend you met when you're 15, now you're 25. Now you're a sangoma, now you're a teacher, now you're a preacher. And there are something else that does not align with who you are becoming. It's okay. It's not meaning that now that you've made it and you have claimed it, then you are leaving people behind because now you are with a new circle of friends. That new circle of friends is a reflection of the state of your life currently and right now, because we actually only have this moment and this time. Tomorrow does not exist. Yesterday, it's a past memory. So why are you holding on to memories that don't serve your present moment? Why are you holding on to what could be if it is not yet manifested, by not really wanting to enjoy this moment? Because usaba uguti abantu bazothini. What will people say? People will always have something to say, irrespective of what you do, irrespective of how beautiful you look to somebody else's eye. That's why they say beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. You will never be beautiful enough. You will never be intelligent enough. You will never be about, because there's always going to be somebody doing better than you. But once you can find a sense of self-contentment with yourself, you will stop seeking validation from other people, because when you're seeking validation in other people, it means that you yourself lack a sense of worthiness, sense of self-confidence. You don't know who you are. So people who are always people-pleasing are people who don't know how to create boundaries in relationships. Because if tloreng syndrome is a bug, it's a disease that you live, you have no boundaries. Therefore, if you have no boundaries, you have no sense of self-respect, because one who respects themselves will always know how to say no. Family will always say, that is not for me, even though that's what you are asking for me. Will never fall for everything, but will stand for something, because that is very important. And it is okay for you to walk the journey with people for 20 years, and that for that 20 years, they have served you very well, and you've served each other very well, and say, okay, it is time to move on. You know, people would say that, but in this generation, I think in this generation, we are also becoming more vocal, and we are striving for self-liberation and self-expression, because we are tired to live in the shadows of other people. We are tired living in the shadows of our parents, because you'll find you are stuck in a marriage because you're wanting to keep to the status quo of nobody in your family ever divorced. They all work through. I mean, marriage is very difficult on its own. So can you try and be in a marriage that doesn't give you joy, that does not excite you, that does not tickle you, that there's no trust, that there is no exchange of giving and receiving in that relationship, because you are trying to keep up to the score of your parents' relationship. So you are going to stop following your calling because you are trying to please Abo Mama Basesontweni, so that your mother looks good, you know, so that your mother is happy. What about your own happiness? Because what you are doing as well, you are continuing a pathology in your family that is going to be passed on from your generation to your children's generation and your children's generation. So somebody's got to step up, and maybe that's you stepping up today and saying, I've had enough of Batho, because people will always have something to say, irrespective of what I do. Can you imagine if I was afraid to embrace my calling as a Sangoma, if I was apologetic about being who I am as Sangoma of these times and doing things that feel right for me, how many people would have I not inspired? How many people would have I not healed? But how would have I not healed me by being me? Because by self-accepting yourself, you are self-healing. And that's where healing begins. Healing begins by accepting yourself for who you are and understanding that there's only one you and there can never be another you, because there is never a best version of a copycat. There's only a best version of an original. So there's only one you, created for these times, for greater things, for better things, for ascension, for elevation. Siri, I'm not talking to you. So there's only one you. Remember that. So if you don't do you, be you, who is going to do that for you? Because nobody else can live your life for you except you. And sometimes we're even afraid to do ourselves because we don't want to take responsibility for our actions, because when we fail, it is always easy to blame other people. When we fail, it is easy to point fingers. But remember, even in an attempt of doing you, in your failures, those are God's lessons to be learned. Those are the things you need to learn to be a better version of yourself. So stop beating yourself up every time you do something that makes you happy. Stop feeling guilty when you do things that bring you to a place of peace, because nobody else can live your life except yourself. Nobody else can give you those things. You need to give yourself permission to do you. If doing you means to get petreli or your twasa, great, because that's going to bring you a sense of peace and lead you to the place in which you're aspiring to be. If leaving that relationship, even though it's been 20 years, 30 years, 5 kids, 10 kids later, it's going to give you peace of mind, it's going to give you joy, then do you. If going out clubbing at 50 is going to excite you and bring the inner child back and actually remind you of what to have fun is like, do that. If accepting your own sexual orientation is going to give you peace and it's going to make you be more of yourself and it's going to relieve stress and get rid of that depression, because depression is what is deeply suppressed within you. It's a self-you that is unexpressed, therefore you are depressed. That's why, because you are suppressing yourself. Because a lot of us find ourselves burdened by things because we are living to the expectations of other people. There are too many boxes. You can never fit in them. Create your own boxes. Fit in it. If it doesn't fit anymore, alter it to your own, fitting, because we are always changing. We are always evolving. Who I am today, I might not be the same person 30 years later. I might not be the same person even tomorrow. I can wake up and feel like I don't need to be doing the streams anymore. They don't serve me anymore, because I'm doing them, yes, as a form of motivating you, but I love to teach because it gives me some sort of excitement, peace, joy, and happiness. So I'm doing it as well to self-serve me. And if it serves you in the interim, then that's great. But I do things for myself. And when you do things for yourself and there are people who are not in support, they are not for you, because somebody who is for you will love you irregardless of who you are becoming, because love carries no conditions. The minute there is a lot of conditions in that relationship, in that situation, then that is not love, because love loves irregardless or irrespective of the direction which one chooses to go. So I hope you found some motivation today and that you're gonna try, because there's no way in stopping it. We live in a society where we need to be part of a community, where we need to be part of a family. But every time when you are doing something, ask yourself, is this bringing me closer to a sense of my own self-contentment, or is it taking me far away from my sense of contentment, sense of peace? Because nobody can give you those things. They are internal. No matter of how much you can drink your problems away, you can shop your problems away, you can do whatever away, it will never go away, because it's resisting your true self. Hence you find yourself addicted to certain things, because you are not living your life. You are not expressing yourself. You are not speaking your truth. And your truth, it's only you who knows what that is. It's only you, because I cannot leave and I do not see what is inside you and what is waiting to be explored. Only you know. So go forward and do you and be you, because you are deserving, you are worthy. If it means this month you're going to go spend some money on you, do that. Enough of giving to others who never know how to give back. If it means this month you're going to take 3 days sleeping and not answering for voice calls, not WhatsApping anyone, do you, be you, serve yourself first. Once your cup is full, you've got enough to share with the world. Love and light. Till next time.